Okay, we're up to the Mishnah of Tzadik Gimel Amid Beis. Now, the previous Mishnah had discussed 3 women who all the ksuba appeared on the same day. So you didn't have any pecking order, any kadima. And then Melo, we had the pshatim of how to divide it up, whether to divide, whether it's 100 to there were 3 people, 100, 200, 300. We were dividing up 100 or 200 or 300, and we had 2 pshatim in the Gemara, 2 kimtis, one of Shmuel and Rav Yaakov Minar Pocket. This Mishnah is 4 women, and there's a pecking order over here. So we know that they got married at different times. Since the first one's ksuba is a shtar chayiv, it precedes the other one, so she's going to collect first. So this has nothing to do with the previous Mishnah. The previous Mishnah, there was no pecking order. It was all the same chalois of the shibud to all, they equal in the shibud. Ad ketei kach that according to Rashi and Rabbi, they divided the whole thing. Even the 100 was going to divide the 300, right? And we had Rabbeinu Chananel saying, what are you talking about, right? And so this Mishnah, there's a pecking order. And this is the halacha of the Mishnah. Mishnah Yanashu Dalid Nashim, married to 4 women, Umeis, and he dies. I guess if you're married to 4 women, you want to die. Harishayna Kaidemes Lishnia. The first one comes before the second. Bishnia Lishlishis, Ushlishis Leravias. And now, so that you had a pecking order 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, Rishayna Nishbas Lishnia. The first one goes ahead and swears to the second one that her ksuba is intact, that she didn't collect anything from the ksuba. Ushniya l'shlishis, and the second one swears to the third one the same shua. V'shlishis l'revius. However, revius nifrash le'b'shua, she can collect without a shua, because obviously the first 3 already collected their shua, so there's no reason for the 4th one to swear. What is she going to swear? That she took away from her? They already collected their ksuba. She's last in line, right? So there's no reason for her to swear. There's no reason for her to swear. This is important because this is going to be the thrust of the machlokes in the Gemara between the Tanakama and Ben Nanas, who we're going to meet in a second. So again, you have a pecking order 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting. I heard a pshat. Why 4 women? You could have told the same halacha with 3 women. What are you telling me? The chiddush is that each one has to go ahead and swear. So tell me 3 women. Why are you telling me 4? We saw a Gemara in Yavamis, fellas, that a man should never take more than 4 wives because of the mitzvah of Aina. That a person about Talmud Chachas Aina is once a week. So he said a person should have 4 wives that, once a month, each one should have their Aina. That's why the Mishnah is telling me, I got the 4. The Shitim Kubetzas. Yeah, very interesting. Because he could have told me the same Chiddush in 3. Anyway, so he does, the last one doesn't have to make a shvua. Benanis is of the opinion, just because she's the last one, she should go ahead and gain by not making a shvua. I feel like tifra el b'shvua. Even her, she should not go ahead and make a shvua. Now, there's a big question on all of this. In other words, one thing we know from this Masechta, that ein nifroyin min nichsei yisoymim elam yishvua. You can't take collection from yisoymim elam yishvua. Where is this ksuba coming from? This guy's dead. The ksuba is coming from what? Nichsei yisoymim. So why is each one swearing to each one as mashma the shvua is to the wife? Forget the shvua to the wife. Since they're all collecting their ksuba, they have to swear to the assignment. You can't collect from the words of the assignment, but tell them without. Good? Guys, you hear the kasha. It's a fundamental kasha. You're collecting your ksuba from the assignment. You can't collect from the assignment unless you have a shvua there. So why are you telling me that you're swearing to the woman? You're swearing to the assignment. So Rashi addresses it in one word, and let's see that Rashi. The first Rashi in the Mishnah: Harishayna nishbas l'shniya im shniya ta'anis hoyel va'at boyes litel tchila. If the second one makes a claim, since you're coming to take his first, hishviya li, swear to me shlei gavis mishel baili klum, that you didn't collect anything from my husband. Dilma loy mishtayali nechasim. Maybe there won't be left over anything for me to collect. Kishir ksubasi, according to the amount of my ksuba. So you're swearing that you're collecting yours, and obviously you go first, but swear to me, number 2, that you didn't collect anything before, lest when you collect your ksuba, there won't be anything for me to collect, right? Because you read the pecking order, you came first, so the concern is, I won't have enough. Swear to me that you didn't collect anything before, and this is the amount you're collecting now. That's a very pashtus shua. But Av Shlishis Taima Kain Lishniya. And number 3 says it to number 2. Swear to me that you didn't collect anything before, lest when you collect, there won't be anything, me in the number 3 batting order to collect from. For Revius L'Shlishis, Avul Revius Nefrash Shalei B'Ksuba. The Revius collects without a shua. Ukigoin, what's Ukigoin? Guys, listen to this. Shah Yisoimim Gedolim. The Yisoimim are Gedolim. The Kesuvos Haitana Kiyam Rabbanan Habalim from Nechse Yisoimim Lo Yifrel B'Shua. Be Yisoimim Ketanam Amru V'Loi Be Gedolim. In other words, why would you go ahead and say you go ahead? Anyone who collects from Nechse Yisoimim that you have to collect the shua is because the Yisoimim are Ketanim. They don't know how to handle in court. They don't know what to say. But once the Gedolim, then you don't say it. Then you could go ahead and collect without a shua. So Rashi alludes to answer a big question on the whole sugya, right? How can you say that the women don't swear? Why are they swearing to each other? They have to swear to the Yisoimim. So we're speaking over here with the Yisoimim are Gedolim. And the halacha is that you wouldn't, the habol of Freud, Shvua is only ketanim. So in Mela, there would not be a Shvua because they're Gedolim. So therefore, the only Shvua is to the separate women, not to what, not to the ketanim. You say this to Gedin because again, it's a basic kasha in the whole sugya. Basic kasha in the whole sugya. Very geshmak. So we have machlokes. Ben Nana says, how do you gain? You're going to go ahead and swear. The Gemara is going to explain the machlokes between Ben Nana Svat and the Tanakama. Machlokes is going to swear, explain the machlokes in the Ben Nana and the Tanakama. Let's say the shtar came out on one day and there's no pecking order, right? Rashi, Hayakulun Yoitzes B'Yamechad, Kloimar, Yoitzes Lefonenu, Umelamed Shekula Nichvu B'Yamechad, that all the shtar was written on the same day, so there's no pecking order. Then Kol HaKedem is L'Chavei Afilu Sha'acha Zachsa. Anyone who could go ahead and prove that on that day, in other words, I have Eidim, I showed him in Besdim at 9 o'clock. I have Eidim, I showed him in Besdim at 10 o'clock. In other words, if it's all written on the same day and the Kesuba, the date on the Kesuba can't ascertain the pecking order, then you'd have to be soimich on what? On who came to Besdin first. So they can prove that. Now, the Chach Hayu Koisim B'Yushalayim Shois, and this is a Sugya Aruch in Shas, that most of the shtaris that they had, when they didn't write hours in Yerushalayim, they would write hours. In Yerushalayim, they would write hours. They didn't have atomic clocks in Paris. They didn't have digital clocks. They don't have approximation. They had sundials. They mamish did not know. In order to figure out the time, it was kind of hard, right? How do you figure out times? Guys, you ever wonder? You look at, you want to know when Nates is, you look at your Maizmanim. How they know Nates? You want to know Mishiyake, right? Between blue and white. Well, what? They have no other way of doing it. They had to go ahead and get a physical manifestation of it, right? But in Yerushalayim, you had the Bezdin Agadol. It says, some Seifer says this. In Yerushalayim, you had the Bezdin Agadol. And the Bezdin Agadol, they could figure out the time. They had a way. They had a way of figuring out the time, right? I think it might be a very geschmack of shot. It says there was in Yuma, it says on the Heichel, there was a Minasheves, I think, or Minaveres, and the sun would sign on it, and they were able to tell time. I think so. And it could be that very geschmack of shot. Why, this was like a very, 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 competent way of figuring out the time that the Bezdin Agadol could do it. So the only place they would write Shas in Yerushalayim. So in Yerushalayim, you could, if they all came in the same day, you'd have a pecking order. Okay, so this is the halacha. Now, what happens if you can't figure it out? And they all come out the same hour. That if ain't shem elamana chelkes b'shava, and they didn't have enough ksuba, they would divide it equally. So this Mishnah is a very good addendum to the previous Mishnah. The previous Mishnah discussing what? The pecking order when it's on different days, and this Mishnah discussing what? This Mishnah discussing what happens if it's on different days, in different hours, in the same day. Okay, we have machloikas between Ben Nanas and the Chachamim. Loit the Chachamim Tanakama, the fourth person did not swear. Loit Ben Nanas, the fourth person did swear, right? So that's going to be my kamifli. What's the svaras and machloikas between the two? We're going to have three pshatim. Amar Shmuel. Says Shmuel Kigoin. Shenimtza achas me'en sada sheina shaloi. Says Rashi. Min hasholosh sada shegavu gimel noshim rishaynos. From the 3 fields that the earlier ones collected, sada sheina shaloi. Shenoida shegazla became known that it was a stolen field. So the husband bequeathed to them a stolen field that wasn't his. The slave shall yavo bailim v'yitlua, and the end the bailim going to come and take it. V'yitlua mimena ukesheba revius l'gvois ksubas. So they saw the revius. Bazu by medes la'acher. That when this one comes to collect the fourth field, comes one of the previous ones and says, right? The one who was stolen from is going to come and collect this field, miyadi from my hand. Then karachas, and I'll end up bald. I mean, I'll end up with nothing. Ritzoini, I want shetishboi shaloi govius chuvasayich b'chayabal. So says Benanis, the reason why over here is speaking the case why you have to make a shvua is the following. It's an ukimta. It's an ukimta. If everything was an up and up, in other words, money, fields, enough for this one, enough for this one, enough for this one. Fourth one, the other three got their portion. Fourth one, you're exist from a shvua. Why does Benanis require shvua? Is because you're not exist. Because one of the previous three is going to come and say, you know what? One of the fields was stolen. I'm going to end up what? I'm going to end up with nothing, right? If you collected the ksuba, I'm entitled to whatever's left over there. In other words, what you collected, I'm entitled to. I know I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to lose, right? I know I'm going to lose the field. The field that was stolen, I'm going to lose. So I'm going to take a loss now. So what should you do? What should you do? You go ahead and make a shvua. That's it's an ukimta of a shvua. It's an ukimta of a shvua. Okay, that's one more time. Let's go to cover my shvaga. We have a machloikas in the Mishnah, Lenny. You have a pecking order of ksuba. 3 people are collecting, but now it wasn't on the same day. It was 3 different times. They got married 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever it is. Whoever came first will collect first. So you have four women. Guy died. 2 swears to 1 that she didn't collect the ksuba. 3 swears to 2 that didn't collect the ksuba, and 4 doesn't have to swear to anybody. Why? Because 4 the other 3 got their part already. And so 4, she doesn't want to take 4. Benana says she has to swear. The Gemara is suggesting now the reason she has to swear is because one of the fields that was collected previously is going to be taken away. So that woman that was taken away from will say, 1 second, there was something left over for me to collect from, right? So who is that? Number 4. So number 4, you swear that you didn't take anything else. You swear you didn't take anything else. That's the ukimta why Benana says you swear. So we're up to Tzadik Daled Amid Aleph. Now, here's the question. Can you go ahead and collect from a Baal Chayv Me'ucha? Okay, guys, outside. I go ahead, I sell a property, to Kenny. But guess what? I have a pecking order. Chaim Klagsman's got a lien on that property, and Ari's has a lien on the property. Chaim's Klagsman's lien comes first. Good? Ari goes ahead and chaps a rein. He beats him to it. Does he have to return it to Chaim or not? That's a machlokes. So over here, here's the question. If you hold you don't have to return it, then Benanis would require a shvua. So in other words, this 4th woman is collecting a property that number 3 or number 2 or number 1 had a shibud on, because they came first, correct? That property is stolen. Now, you collected a property number 4 on the up and up. However, you are the last Baal Chayv. Subasish is a Baal Chayv. There was a previous Baal Chayv, one of the other ones. Question, can you go ahead and take it back? So if you could take it back, there's no reason for her to swear. You have nothing to lose. I'm woman number 2. My field was stolen, right? It's taken away from me. What do? I go down the line. I'm going to take it away from number 4. After all, even she came first, and she collected before me. I don't care. No reason for a shvua. But if you hold that if you collect first, if Ari would get before Chaim Klagsburn, and meaning number 4 would get before number 2, and you keep it, therefore number 4 has to swear that, you know what, I never collected anything before. And that's the ukimta of Shmuel in the Gemara, how to explain the machloikis between Benanis and the Chachamim. Benanis requiring number 4 to swear, and the Chachamim not. Let's see it inside again. We're speaking about a Baal Chayv that was delayed. The Tanakama says you don't have to swear. Why? Whatever you collected is not collected. In other words, Ari's going to have to give it back to Chaim Klagsburn. Number 4 is going to have to give it back to whoever woman that was taken away from the field. So there's no reason to swear. No. If Ari got it before Chaim or number 4 got it before number 2, they would keep it. So therefore, if they would keep it, they have to swear there's nothing else in their possession that would warrant that number two would take a loss. That's the way Shmuel and Pshat Mishnah. Guys, good? Okay. Rabbi Nachman Amar, Rabbi Nachman says, Rabba Baravur, the Kuliyal Mamashagava Loigava. Everyone holds that what? That Ari's gonna have to give it back. Number four is gonna have to give it back. So then what's the reason for the shvua? The hacha, and over here, the chashinan shema tichsev kemiflagi. You worry that maybe she is going to go ahead and abuse the field. Meaning, if this woman knows that she's not going to get to keep the property, she's not going to irrigate it well, she won't fertilize it well, she won't take care of it because in any day someone can come along and take it away. So what do? In other words, what do? We throw a shvua on her. We're fooling her. Guys, the same with Kimta, right? One of these fields is going to be taken away. This number four says, one of those fields is going to be taken away. What's going to happen to me? My field's going to be taken away. So I'm going to go ahead and plant wheat every year. Wheat's the most profitable crop. It's going to ruin the field. I don't care because I want to go ahead and maximize it as long as I have it. I want to irrigate it well. I'll run it into the ground. It's like these people with these cars who never change the oil. Okay? Happens, right? So they have this. So she's going to run it into the ground. So you know what we do? We fool. Make a shvua. When she makes a shvua, what does she think? I'm going to keep it. So since I'm going to keep it, she's going to take care of the field. So it's Rav Nachman with a different kinech. The same svara of Shmuel that the field's going to be taken away, but a different kinech. Why? Not because she's going to lose the field. No, she is definitely going to lose the field. Not because she's going to keep the field. She's definitely going to lose the field because if someone Baal Chayv collects first, it's not a good collection. There's a pecking order. The first lien, the first mortgage is always going to get before the second mortgage. So why you make a shvur if she's not going to, right? Shvur is very geschmack. That to trick her into going and taking care of the field. That's what Nachman's teretz. Okay, so that's the second shot. So Masavar, the nanis is of the feeling chashina shem tichsef v'chayiv maybe shlum the field, and therefore throw a shvur onto fuller. Masavar Tanakam is loy chashina shem tichsef, therefore no need for a shvur. So those are two pshatim, right? But the same will kimta that the field is stolen. Here's a third pshat and the field is not stolen. Here's a third pshat and the field is not stolen. Abaye Amar. The Abaye Kshisha was literally Abaye the elder. There was two Abayas. This is Abaye the elder. So Abaye Omar, the Abaye Kshisha, Ika, Beinayo. The difference between them is what? Is Abaye Kshisha. What does Abaye Kshisha say? The Tani Abaye Kshisha. Now we're not speaking about a field that's stolen, guys. We're not speaking about a field that's stolen. We're speaking about a regular field, right? Yisayim Shomru Gedolim, Vein Sarachlam Katanim. Tanakama Leslie, the Abaye Kshisha, Ubenanis Islay Abaye Kshisha. Okay, now we're going back to the Mishnah. Says Abaya, a Gavaldic Teretz, guys. This shvua is not to the woman. This shvua is to the Yisayim. This shvua is not to the what? To the woman. This shvua is the Yisayim. What's our rule of thumb? You can't collect from the property of Yisayim only with a shvua. Now, says Abaye Kshisha, that's anyone. Any yasam, whether it's a cotton or whether it's a gadol. Ben Nanis agrees with Abaye Kshisha that even if it's a gadol, you can swear. And the Tanakama says, no, only a cotton, but not a gadol. Memela, in our Mishnah, where you have gedolim, it's speaking with a gedolim. We saw Rashi in the Mishnah. What's the din? Says the Tanakama, you don't have to swear. Why should she swear? The only shvur you could have is the first three that they're worried you didn't have nothing left over for the ksuba, so we want to make sure that you didn't take, you're not double dipping, that you took a little bit, maybe it's sorry katfasing, maybe you had a little money set aside, so you have to swear to be mafias the previous person who collected. But since each three collected already, number four, why does she have to swear? Says Bananas, I'll tell you why she has to swear. She's collected from Yisayim. Yisayim ma gedolim. Bananas holds like Abaye Kshisha, even from Gedolim. And the Tanakama says, no, to give Shmak a teretz. But we're not speaking where you have a stolen field like the Ukimta of Shmuel or Rav Nachman. We're not speaking about that. So let's see it inside one more time. Abaye Omer, the Abaye Kshisha Kibinayo. The difference between Bananas and the Tanakama is Abaye Kshisha. The Tani Abaye Kshisha, Yisayim Sh'omru Gedolim, Vein Tzarech Laim Katanim. Tanakama, less like Abaye Kshisha. The Tanakama does not hold Abaye Kshisha. He would hold if you're coming to collect from Gedolim, you do not have to swear. Ubenanis is like Abaye Kshisha. He holds like Abaye Kshisha, and therefore you have to swear. How are we doing? Geschmack is anything, yeah? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Amar Rav Huna. Now, an application of this. Amar Rav Huna. Hani trei achi, these two brothers who trei shutfei, or two partners. The islahu dina bahade chad. They have a din with somebody. So you have two brothers or two shutfin. They have a property, and there's a litigation on that property. For asal chad minai, one of the brothers or one of the shutfin goes. Bahade ladina goes with the litigant with the other person to litigation. Leimatzi idach, the other shutif. Leimatzi idach, the other shutif. I hope Benji. Benji, did you read? Did you see that I put sending out at 4:00? I should have called you. I should have called. You don't look at your WhatsApp?
Literally this second.
Okay. Anyway.
So
we're holding Tzaddik Dalet in the middle. We'll be by a few dots in a second, and after shir, I'll go over it with you. Okay. So now, so we have two litigants, right? Two partners or two brothers, and one of either let's pick one case. The shutif goes to deal in court with a claim from another person, but the other shutif doesn't go along, or the other brother doesn't go along. So only one dealt with it. So what's the din? Leimatzi idach, the one that did not go, cannot come and claim lemeimar lei at lav baldavidim at. You're right. You're not my baldavar, meaning you weren't representing me. I could go now. In other words, if they lose, obviously, if they lose the litigation, he can't say, well, if I would have been there, right? He can't say that. Ela shlichusei avid, right? He did the shlichus. He did the shlichus. He did the shlichus. Who did it? The shutif did the shlichus, or the brother did the shlichus, whoever the case was. So he was representing the other party, and therefore this guy can't show up and say anything. Ikla Rav Nachman is Surah. Rav Nachman came to Surah, and Sheiluhu, they asked Rav Nachman again. Rav Nachman, as we're going to see, was the Dayan. He was the gadol of Dayanim. He was appointed by the Reish Galusha and the yeshiva. He was the halachas of Rav Nachman Medina in the Choshen Mishpat. Ki hai gavnamai. What's the din over here? Does this guy have a claim? Can this guy possibly say, you know what? Had I been there, I would have won. I would have claimed this thing. So Amalahu, he told them, Masnisani. It's a Mishnah. Harishoyin nishbas l'shniya, ushniya l'shlishis, ushlishis l'revius. Again. Number one is swearing to number two. Number two is swearing to number three, right? Number three is swearing to number four. Good. Now, is one swearing to three? Is two swearing to four? Why not? Because two is doing the shlichus of one, right? When that's his raya. Like a tani. It doesn't say one has to swear to three. Only one has to swear to two, right? Why? Because it must be that when two is swearing to three, it's doing the shlichus of one. So you have a raya that you don't have to go ahead. That one is doing the shlichus. So in the case of the brothers or the shutfin, einachinami, the guy would not have a claim. This guy did your shlichus, the other person, and you lost. Okay. So now, my timer, what's the reason? La mishum the shlichusa of we say number two did the shlichus for number one. Says me dummy. It's not comparable at all. Not comparable at all. Hasam shvula echad shvula meya. Guys, if you make a shvua that I never took property from my husband, well, number one makes the shvua. Comes along number two and swears to number three, I never took property from my husband. Number three is not going to say number one second, you didn't swear to me. Shvua echad shvua meya. Plain pashit correct. Why did you say? I didn't take it. So there's no reason to make another shvua. So it's not comparable in the case of what? Of the brothers or the shutfin, where the other one has a rechta kataina. Maybe I had been there, I used my intelligence, maybe I had a piece of information that would have gone ahead and made the court case in our favor. It says the Gemara. So, however, Hacha, over here by the court case, Omar, he could have said, Ilu ano have tanina tfei. If I would have been there, I would have been telling more. So we want to say that in Achinami, the guy, the shutif, can taka say, you know what? Had I been there, so we can overrule the case. In other words, we can redo it again. So two shifin kam, one loses, the other one can say it has a taina. Okay, now this is provided he couldn't possibly have been there. The loy amoran that the shutif has a taina. Ella deloy isya b'masiv. He's not in the city. Aval isya b'masiv, if he's in the city, he boyle lemesa. He should have came. In other words, when do we say that had you been there, you have a claim that's only had you could have been there, but you weren't. You were out of town. You just couldn't make it. But if you're in the city and you could have made it, and now the guy comes and you lost, you can't show up and say, well, no, had I been there. That we don't say. That we don't say. I just need 2 minutes. Okay, a very, very famous Gemara. Very famous Gemara. Very interesting. As Akdama to the Gemara, very, very in Gittin, very famous machlokes between Rabbi and Rabbi Lazar. When you write a shtar, a get, or any other shtar, but let's focus on get for the moment. We know that a get breaks kedushin. It's called a sefer krisis. It's koras. It cuts the tie between man and wife. What does that? What mechanism does that? Here's the machlokes. Says Reb Meir, it's edei chasim karti. It's the actual document that goes ahead and does it. It's the actual document that goes ahead and does it. It's the signatures of the edim on the document that does it. Reb Elazar of the opinion, it's the edim mesira. It's the edim not written on the document. The only reason you write edim on the document at all is mifnei tikkun olam, that in the future there should not be any question about this get. But really, the mechanism that causes the divorce is in fact the edim that witness it. So edei chasima, it's the shtar that makes it, and edei mesira, it's the edim that witnessed the mesira of the get. Good. Now, you would think this is limited to get, but we're going to see from this Gemara, we're going to extend it to other shtaros. That even by shtaros, there's a svara to say it's the chasima of the edim or the mesira of the shtar. Which one is it? So now, itmar beish shtaros hayotzim b'yom echad. You have two shtaros. They came out on the same day. Okay, they came out on the same day. Says Rashi. Beish shtaros machas soda achas l'shnei bnei adam b'yom echad. You sold one land to two people on the same day. You sold the same field to two people on the same day. And we know that a field is nikna b'kesev shtar v'chazaka. This shtar is just like the get affects the kedushin. This shtar is not a shtar raya. This shtar is a shtar kinyan. This shtar is making the acquirement. It's making the actual transition from that person's rishus to your rishus. Now, so it's written on the same day to two separate people. The question is, who gets it? Both people have a shtar. Both people have a shtar that Reuven sold me a field. What do you do with that? Shimon and Levi, what do they do with that? So Rav Amachalkin, Shimon and Levi will divide the field. Both have a shtar, they'll divide the field. Shmuel Omar, Shmuel says, Shuda the Daini, we'll leave it up to the Dayanim to decide. We had this Gemara early on Pehei, I think. That according to Rashi, the Bezdin will go ahead and they'll ascertain who does this guy really like. In other words, if the first guy he went to yeshiva with him and they're bowling buddies, and the second guy is Stama guy, it would make sense that he's giving it to the first guy. Why did he write the second one? I don't know. But Shuda the Daini, according to this, so two shitas. Rav Shita, you're going to divide it. And Shmuel Shita is Shuda the Daini. We can leave it up to the discretion of the Dayanim to decide. Lema, let us say, Rav the Amakreb Meya. Rav who says that each shtar has its own effect to say he sold it to me and he sold it to me, is he holds Eidei Chasima, like Reb Meya. Since each person has a shtar, and the shtar was signed on it, each one has the shtar of a kinyan, so therefore you divide it. Ushmuel the Amar, and Shmuel's of the opinion, Amid Beis, Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, the Amar Reb Elazar. He would hold like Reb Elazar, the Amar, Eidei Mesira Karti, that the Eidim that who witnessed the Mesira, they're the one who gives it over. Now, let's see Rashi on this. Shmuel the Amar Eid Reb Elazar, the Amar, Afa Pishain Lav Eidim, even if there's no Eidim signed on the shtar, Shenastum, if the Eidim, you gave it what? In front of Eidim, you would be able to collect minchas mishubadim. Why? Because Eidim was signed on the shrine only b'tikkun olam. What makes the deal? It's giving it over that makes the deal. So over here, guys, it's geshmak as anything. He gave it over to two guys. Which guy did he want to give it over more? The shtar doesn't mean anything, right? The shtar doesn't mean anything. So who do you want to give it more to? So Shmuel would say that's up to the Dayanim to decide. According to Rabbi, it says Cholkin, because each one has a piece of paper, they equal in status. Why? Each one has a piece of paper that says what? That says that, it's mine. It's a kinyan. Whereas Shmuel says, Shuda the Daini, Since it's the Eidim Mesira, it's not the actual shtar that makes the difference. Then we have to go ahead and see. Let's just finish this Rashi. She'ena Eidim Chaysim al Aget Elam Taking the Oilam. Shema Yamusu Eidim Mesira. Maybe Eidim Mesira will die. Yelchul Medina Siyam will go overseas. Alma, what do you see? Eidim Mesira Ikka. It's the Eidim who witnessed the Mesira. They're the main thing. V'hachar, and over here where a person wrote two shtaris, Yesh Leimar. Shema Echad HaYechavev Olav Yaser. One of them, of the two people he wrote to, was more dear to him. The Kadmu Masrulai, and gave it over to him. Vasasheni Hitta, and the second one he made a mistake. The Chila Yadina, name is Shuda the Daina, but we don't know what to do. Then we'll say Shuda the Daina, leave it up to the discretion of Dayanim. Vimashahim Royam, whatever they see fit. Mimehem HaYiragel, that's who he was accustomed to be with. Yosim, the Shuda Adifa Michaluka, because Shuda is better than Chaluka. So therefore, we're suggesting machloikas between Rav and Shmuel in this very famous case where a guy sold a field twice is in fact machloikas between Reb Meir and the machloikas Tanoim. Rav holds like the Tana Reb Meir, just like what? Just like Eidei Chasima's Karti, so to Eidei Mesira's, so to what? Chalukin, because they both have a star. Like Shmuel, it says like Rebbe Loza, Eidei Mesira Karti, therefore what? Therefore you leave it over Shuda the Daina. That's the machloikas. That will stay. We're going to attack it, guys, but that's going to stay. Says the Gemara Vaita. Like the Kuliyalma Rebbe everyone else like Rebbe Loza, the Eidei Mesira, even Rav. What's the machlekes? What's better, Chaluka or Shuda? Rav Sova Chaluka Adifa, to divide up equal is better than to leave it over in the hands of the Dayanim, right? Even though what he holds Eidei Mesira. Shmuel Sova Shuda the Daini Adifa. Shmuel says that what Shuda the Daini is Adifa. So it would come out that what, no matter what type of shtar, whether it's a get or it's a regular shtar machira, Rav will be of the opinion that you go what? You go after Eidei Mesira. We're going to disprove that, and thus we're going to reinstate the machlokes is between Reb Meir and Rebbe Loza in Rav and Shmuel. So right now we want to suggest that Rav agrees with Rebbe Loza because the halacha is like Rebbe Loza, not like Reb Meir. That Eidei Mesira karti. We're suggesting the machlokes therefore is what's stronger. Is the chalukah stronger or is Shuda stronger? Says the Gemara Vaita. What's this mukmis look Rav Rebbe Loza? Is it possible to say that Rav would hold like Rebbe Loza? Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, halacha Rebbe Loza begitten. Halacha is like Rebbe Loza begitten, right? Meaning only get, but not by other shtarais. And who said this? Rav. Kiamisa Kamei the Shmuel Amar af b'shtarais. Shmuel said that halacha is like Rebbe Loza even b'shtarais. Now mechlal you can infer. When Rav said it, he said only linyan gittin, not linyan shtarais. Here we're speaking about shtarais. So how can you say saying Rav like Rebbe Loza? You see, not like that. The Rav Sava shtarais loy. You have to say Nechavarta. It's clear. Rav Reb Meir. Rav has Chaluka holds like Reb Meir. Shmuel Rebbe Loza, and Shmuel says Shuda the Daina holds like Rebbe Loza. Maybe we're going to ask. Shnei shtaros. You got two shtaros. Hayoytze b'yonecha to come out on the same day. Cholkin. You're going to go ahead and divide them up. And you're not going to say Shuda. Here to the Shmuel. Amlach Shmuel. Hamani Reb Meir. That one is according to Reb Meir who says Eidei Chasima. Shmuel will be Maida if you hold like Reb Meir that since they both have shtaros, you would divide it. He doesn't hold like Reb Meir, right? So that one that says you divide is according to Reb Meir. But no dami Reb Loza, and I hold like Reb Loza. For the Gemara, Reb Meir, if you're telling me that Brisa is like Reb Meir, aim a say for the sake of the Brisa. Kosav le'echad, you wrote a shtar, but you didn't give it over. Umas la'acher, but you gave it over to someone else. You wrote a shtar to one person, you gave it over to another person. Zeh shemasa la'kana. The one you gave it to is kaina. For the Gemara, this is the same Brisa that you said it's going according to Reb Meir. 1 second. Guys, you have a brisa over here saying the following: that what? You have a brisa that says that the first part that you know what you can say cholkin. The second part says what? Clearly like Rebbe Loza, and you said again the first part like Reb Meir. So how do you? It's got to be one or the other. It says Gemara Tanoihi. In fact, it's machlokes the Tanoim, the Tanya. The Chachamim say yechlaiku. The Chachamim say in that case. Yachloku. Now, what's the case over there? Here's the case. Listen to this. A guy sends Reuven is sent overseas to Shimon to give a present to Shimon. He gets there, Shimon's dead. He goes back now to Beryl, who gave it to him. Beryl's also dead. What do you do? Does he give it to? Do we say Halach Kischi? Do we say when he said Halach, take this matana? Do we say Kischi and then Shimon, who he sent it to, gets it? Or we say no. Okay, so now we're going to have machlokes. So the chacham say yechloku, right? They say yechloku, that meaning you divide it. The Khan, however, in Babel Amru, whatever the shlish, whatever he decides Meaning, whatever the shliach, whatever Ruvain who was bringing decides whether to give it to Shimon or back to Beryl, it's up to him. So you see, there's a machlokes whether that's a case of shuda, whether you say yachloku or shuda in this case. So again, Shmuel says, I have who would be Slemichan, I will say shuda. So comes along, Rav must hold, guys. Rav must hold like Reb Meir, not like Reb Elazar. Shmuel holds like Reb Elazar. It says the case yachloku in that case. He holds like what? The opinion who says that what? That it's shuda the daina. That's the one who says that the shliach Ruven can give it to whoever he wants. Ime the Rami Bar Chama, the mother Rami Bar Chama, in the morning, went ahead and wrote over the nechasim to Rami Bar Chama. L'orta in the evening, she wrote it to her other son, two sons, Rami and Marukva. So in the morning she wrote it to Rami, in the afternoon she wrote it to Marukva. Who gets it? Also Rami Bar Chama, the Kamed Rav Sheshes, came in front of Rav Sheshes, and Ukvi bin Chasei, and Rav Sheshes said, it's yours. You got it first. Also Ukva the Kamed Rav Nachman, he came in front of Rav Nachman, and Ukvi bin Chasei, and he gave it to him. So we have Rav Sheshes siding with Rami, and we have Rav Nachman siding with Marukva. Asa Rav Sheshes the Kamed Rav Nachman. Rav Sheshes, who was sided with Rami, comes in front of Rav Nachman, who sided with Marukva. Amalei Rav Sheshes to Rav Nachman, my time of it Marhachi. Why did Mar do this? So Amalei and Rav Nachman said after Rav Sheshes, well, my time of it Marhachi. Why did you Rav Sheshes give it to Rami? So Amalei, so Rav Sheshes said the Kodim, because obviously what? It was given in the morning, right? It was given in the morning, so he had pecking order. He got it first. So Amalei, so said Rav Nachman to Rav Sheshes, are we living in Yerushalayim, the Kasvin and Sharis? In other words, the day and the night are no different. In other words, it's the same day. It came early in morning or evening. We don't care because we don't write Shas, only Yerushalayim. And Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes were in Bavel. They weren't in Yerushalayim. So Rav Nachman's taina was what? Rav Nachman's taina was to get the last one. So now why did he get it? So Amalei, so Rav Sheshes said to Rav Nachman, my time of it hachi. So why did you go ahead and give it therefore to what? To Marukva? In other words, fellas, once you're telling me that there's no pecking order, and so why don't you just divide it? So why did you decide to give it to who? To Marukva. So Amalei, so Rav Nachman told him, shoot to the daini. I used my discretion as the dayan that she wanted to give it to Marukva rather than Rami. So Amalei, so Rav Sheshes said, "Anonami should the daina." Okay, I also used my discretion that he wanted to give it to Rami instead of Marukva. Amalei, Rav Nachman said two things. Now, want to get a zug? This is a zug. Now, guys, who is Rav Nachman? Who is Rav Nachman? Rashi tells us he was the dayan, he was the Reish Galusa's son-in-law, and he was the head dayan in Bavel. He's the Supreme Court justice in Bavel. So first of all, Amalei, first of all, Shuda the daina, you got to be a dayan. You, me, Rav Nachman, I'm a dayan. You, Rav Sheshes, you're not a dayan. Ersht. V'oid, now in Lomdis, meikara lav b'toivus fachiasis lei. Guys, why was Rav Sheshes' taina initially? Why did he give it to Rami? Because Rami came first. So how can you tell me that's a din of Shuda? You were coming on to the pecking order. You were giving it because Rami received it in the morning and Maruk received it in the afternoon. That's not Shuda. That's coming on to a pecking order. So two things. You're telling me Shuda the Daina, Ersh, you're not a Dayan. And Sveitens, and according to your words, I caught you in your words because you were giving it to Rami based upon the fact that he came ahead of him. That's not Shuda. So Mela, Rav Nachman said, give it to Marukva based on Shuda the Daina. Final case. Hanach trei shtori the Osla Kamed of Yosef. Two stars came in front of Yosef. Chada bikosev bechamisha b'Nisan. One said in the 5th day of Nisan that the field was sold to so and so. The chada bikosev b'Nisan stama. And in the same field, two different people. One said in the 5th day of Nisan. One said Nisan stam. Now, if you said Nisan stam, it can mean 1, 2, 3, or 4, or it can mean 6, 7 to the end. Right? What do? Who wins? So Ukmi Rav Yosef Ahud Chamisha ben Nisim ben Chaslam. He established that it goes to who? To the one who said 5, not the one that said Stam. Amalei Idach, the one that said Stam, but no Afsid. Why should I take a loss? Amalei At Yod Chal. I'm sorry, but your hand is on a lower hand because Ema Bar Chavtes ben Nisanat. Maybe you're up to Chavtes. Maybe you got the end of the month. In other words, He Vade says 5. You're a suffix, so I'm giving it to him. Amalei, so said the Dayan to Rav Yosef, said this litigant to Rav Yosef, V'nichtali mar tirfa me'ir. So now you're telling me the following. You're telling me that, again, I have property over here. Comes along somebody, let's say, and shows up, and there's a chayv on this. So maybe I can be Torah from a lokeach, from anyone that this person who sold me the field, had he sold the field later, I would be able to gather as a Baal Chayv. In other words, I'm owed money, so write me a tirfa that I should be able to go at least from Iyar, because for sure in Nisan I was a Baal Chayv. So Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef told him, Yechoylu Mimsala, the Lekeach can tell you, At Bar Chad B'Nisan At. You in other words, you're not my litigant because you're a 1 day in Nisan, not a Chav Tes Iyar. He could push him out before that. So my takante, what's the kana? Nichlev harshola ladodi. Let them each write a power of attorney to each other. In other words, if someone comes along at lakuchas and they're able to go ahead and say that 1 second, there was a piece of land that he sold that I can grab from you, the guy's going to tell you're a 1. So he has a harsha, a power of attorney for the 1, saying I'm giving the power to him. And huadin, he can give the power of attorney to the other one. And either way, they both be able to go ahead and deal with the lakeach. Have a good Shabbos, everybody. Appreciate it.